Imagine London in the late 19th century. The city was a bustling, sprawling metropolis, the very heart of a vast global empire. Its river, the Thames, was a crowded highway filled with ships from every corner of the world, their masts like a dense, tangled forest. This incredible growth, however, brought with it a significant problem. The East End of London, a rapidly expanding industrial and residential area, was desperately in need of a new river crossing. The existing bridges, like London Bridge, were all further west, and the journey to cross the river from the east was long and impractical. The river was simply too busy with tall-masted ships to allow for a conventional, fixed bridge to be built downstream. The people of East London needed a solution. They needed a bridge that could allow them to cross the river quickly and safely, but one that would not block the vital artery of the Thames. It was a true conundrum. How could you build a bridge that allowed boats to pass underneath it? The river traffic was constant, bringing goods and wealth into the city. To stop this flow would be to strangle London's very lifeline. The challenge was immense, calling for a new kind of thinking, a new kind of engineering. It required a bridge that could somehow step aside, a bridge that could open up to let the lifeblood of the city continue its journey. This need, born from the city's own success, was the spark that would eventually lead to the creation of one of the world's most famous landmarks. The call for a new bridge grew louder and more urgent with each passing year. The population of the East End had exploded, and the lack of a crossing was not just an inconvenience, it was a barrier to progress and a daily struggle for thousands of people. Tunnels had been considered and even built, but they were often small, dark, and not suitable for the heavy cart and pedestrian traffic of the era. The city needed something grand, something efficient, and something that could serve both the people on the land and the ships on the water. This was not just about building a structure. It was about solving a complex urban puzzle that was holding back the development of a huge part of the city. The search for a solution ignited a great public debate. It captured the imagination of engineers, architects, and the general public alike. The City of London, a global leader in innovation and industry, was faced with a challenge that would test its ingenuity. The bridge that would eventually rise from the banks of the Thames would need to be more than just a crossing. It would have to be a marvel of technology, a statement of Victorian ambition, and a structure that could serve the dual masters of road and river. This remarkable challenge set the stage for the birth of Tower Bridge, a structure that would not only solve a practical problem, but also become an enduring symbol of London itself. The problem of crossing the Thames in East London was so significant that in 1876 the City of London Corporation decided to take action. They formed a special bridge or subway committee to find a solution. The committee announced a public competition, inviting engineers and designers from all over the country to submit their ideas. The challenge was clear: design a bridge downstream of London Bridge that would not obstruct the river traffic. This was an invitation to dream, to innovate, and to come up with a design that had never been seen before. The response was overwhelming. Over 50 different designs were submitted, each one offering a unique and sometimes fantastical solution to this complex problem. The variety of the proposals was quite extraordinary. Some designers suggested high-level bridges with incredibly long and steep approach roads, which would have been impossible for horses and carts to climb. Others proposed complex systems of hydraulic lifts that would raise and lower entire sections of the roadway. There were even ideas for rolling bridges that would retract into the riverbanks. Each design was carefully considered, debated, and scrutinized by the committee. It was a fascinating showcase of Victorian creativity and ambition, but many of the ideas were simply too impractical, too expensive, or not robust enough to handle the immense demands of the city. The search for the perfect design was proving to be a difficult and lengthy process. Among the many proposals, one type of design began to gain favor: the bascule bridge. A bascule is a type of movable bridge with a counterweight that continuously balances a span or leaf throughout its upward swing to provide clearance for boat traffic. This principle, derived from the Old French word for a seesaw, seemed to offer the most elegant and efficient solution. It would allow the roadway to be lifted quickly, creating a wide channel for ships to pass through and then lowered back into place just as swiftly for road traffic to resume. The committee, however, was still not satisfied with any single design that had been presented. The perfect combination of functionality, cost, and aesthetic appeal remained elusive. After years of deliberation and with no clear winner from the public competition, the committee turned to its own members for a solution. The city architect, Sir Horace Jones, working alongside the renowned civil engineer John Wolfe Barry, began to develop their own design. They took the best elements of the ideas that had been submitted, particularly the concept of a double-leaf bascule bridge, and refined them. Their plan was ambitious. It proposed a bridge that combined the bascule mechanism with two magnificent towers and high-level walkways, allowing pedestrians to cross even when the bridge was open. This design was not only practical but also visually stunning, and in 1884 it was finally approved. The Great Bridge debate was over, and the path was clear to begin building this new gateway to London. The final design for the bridge, masterminded by Sir Horace Jones and John Wolfe Barry, was a stroke of genius. It brilliantly solved the central problem of allowing both road and river traffic to pass. The core of their plan was the central span, which was split into two halves, known as bascules. These two massive arms could be raised to an almost vertical position, opening up a clear channel for tall ships to sail through. This was the heart of the bridge's function, a dynamic and powerful solution that would allow the river to remain the city's main commercial highway. The design ensured that the vital flow of trade and transport would not be interrupted. But the design went further than just the opening mechanism. Jones and Barry included two enormous and beautiful towers, one on each side of the central span. These towers were not just for show, they served a crucial purpose. They contained the complex machinery needed to lift the heavy bascules. More than that, they also supported two high-level walkways suspended high above the river. This was a clever addition. It meant that even when the bridge was raised for a ship, pedestrians could still cross the Thames by climbing the stairs within the towers and walking across these upper bridges. It was a thoughtful feature that considered the needs of everyone, ensuring that the city's life could continue with minimal disruption. The overall structure was a hybrid, a clever mix of different bridge types. The sections leading from the riverbanks to the two main towers were suspension bridges. This design choice, with its elegant draping chains, helped to support the long approach roads. It also added to the visual grace of the structure, creating a beautiful contrast with the solid, imposing central towers. Combining a suspension bridge with a bascule bridge was a bold and innovative move. It showed a deep understanding of engineering principles and a desire to create something that was not only functional but also aesthetically pleasing, a landmark that London could be proud of. Sadly, Sir Horace Jones, the city architect who had poured so much of his vision and energy into the project, did not live to see his masterpiece completed. He passed away in 1887, just a year after construction began. His partner, John Wolfe Barry, took over the project and saw it through to its completion, making some modifications and refinements along the way. Barry, for instance, was responsible for refining the design of the hydraulic machinery that powered the bridge. The final result is a testament to the vision of both men, a bridge that is a perfect blend of form and function, an ingenious solution to a complex problem, and a true icon of Victorian innovation. The construction of Tower Bridge was a monumental undertaking, a true showcase of the power and ambition of the Victorian era. Work began in 1886 and it would take 8 long years, the labour of 5 major contractors and a workforce of 432 construction workers to complete. The first and most challenging task was to build the foundations for the two massive towers in the middle of the River Thames. To do this, engineers had to build enormous, watertight chambers called caissons. These huge boxes were sunk down to the riverbed, and the water was pumped out, allowing workers to dig down into the clay of the river floor to create a solid foundation. Working inside these caissons was incredibly difficult and dangerous. The men, known as navvies, laboured in cramped, dimly lit conditions, often under high air pressure to keep the water out. It was physically demanding and hazardous work, but it was essential for the stability of the entire structure. Once the foundations were secure, the steel framework for the towers and the bridge could begin to rise from the river. More than 11,000 tons of steel were used to create the skeleton of the bridge. This steel frame is what gives Tower Bridge its incredible strength and is the true engineering marvel, even though it is mostly hidden from view. Once the steel skeleton was in place, it was clad in stone. This was largely an aesthetic choice made to give the bridge a grander and more historic appearance that would complement its neighbour, the Tower of London. The stone chosen was Cornish granite and Portland stone, materials known for their durability and beauty. This stone cladding gives the bridge its distinctive and famous Gothic Revival look, but it is important to remember that it is a facade. Beneath this decorative stone skin lies a revolutionary steel structure, a heart of modern industrial engineering dressed in the romantic costume of the past. This blend of old and new is one of the things that makes the bridge so unique. The final cost of the construction was £1,184,000, which is equivalent to well over £140 million in today's money. It was an enormous investment for the city, but one that was deemed necessary to solve the pressing issue of the East End crossing. After 8 years of tireless work, the bridge was finally ready. On the 30th of June 1894, it was officially opened in a grand ceremony attended by the Prince and Princess of Wales, who would later become King Edward VII and Queen Alexandra. The opening marked the culmination of a decades-long search for a solution and the beginning of a new chapter in the life of the River Thames and the City of London. The mechanism that allows Tower Bridge to open and close is, honestly, a beautiful example of Victorian hydraulic engineering, a system that was, incredibly advanced for its time. Originally, the bridge was powered by steam. Deep within the bridge's southern approach, a boiler room housed these huge coal-fired boilers. These boilers produced steam, which was used to drive two massive steam-pumping engines. Now, these engines didn't directly lift the bridge. Instead, they pumped water at very high pressure into 6 large hydraulic accumulators. These accumulators stored the pressurized water, acting like giant batteries, just ready to release their energy whenever the bridge needed to be opened. When a ship needed to pass, the signal was given, and the stored energy was released. The high-pressure water was fed into the driving engines, which were connected to a series of gears and pinions. These gears engaged with the bascules, the 2 giant arms of the bridge. As the machinery turned, it slowly and gracefully lifted the two 1,200-ton bascules into the air, reaching their full height of 86 degrees in about a minute. The system was designed with incredible precision. The bascules are perfectly counterbalanced by huge weights in their shorter arms, which pivot within the towers. This counterbalancing means that it actually takes relatively little energy to lift them, a principle much like a seesaw. The entire operation was controlled from 2 cabins, one on each side of the bridge at river level. From here, the bridge driver could oversee the whole process, making sure the road traffic was stopped, the warning bells were rung, and the bascules were raised and lowered safely. In its heyday, the bridge would open as many as 20 or 30 times a day, a constant and familiar sight for Londoners. The high-level walkways were essential during these frequent openings, allowing pedestrians to continue their journey across the river without delay. It was truly a complex and beautifully choreographed dance of steam, water, and steel. While the original steam engines are no longer used to power the bridge, they are still beautifully preserved and can be seen in the Tower Bridge exhibition. In 1976, the power source was converted to a more modern electro-hydraulic system, which uses oil and electricity instead of steam and water. The principles, however, remain much the same. The new system is more efficient and requires less manpower, but the magnificent spectacle of the bascules rising against the London skyline is unchanged. It really is a testament to the original designers that their fundamental concept was so robust and effective that it continues to function perfectly over a century later. A living piece of industrial history in the heart of a modern city. The architectural style of Tower Bridge is, honestly, one of its most defining and debated features. Sir Horace Jones made the deliberate choice to clad the bridge's modern steel frame in an elaborate stone facade. He chose a style known as Victorian Gothic, or Gothic Revival. This style was, very popular in the 19th century and looked back to the medieval castles and cathedrals of the past for inspiration. It features pointed arches, decorative stonework, and grand castle-like towers. Jones felt that this style would help the new bridge to blend in harmoniously with its historic neighbour, the ancient Tower of London, which stands just a short distance away on the riverbank. The two main towers are the most prominent features of this architectural style. They rise 65 metres above the Thames, built with a steel framework, but covered in Cornish granite and Portland stone. They look like something from a fairy tale castle, complete with small turrets at the four corners of each tower. This decorative cladding was, in some ways, a bit of a deception. It concealed the truth of the bridge's construction, hiding the modern steel skeleton beneath a romantic, historic-looking skin. Some architectural critics at the time were not impressed, calling it dishonest. They argued that a modern engineering marvel should look modern, not pretend to be a medieval fortress. Despite these criticisms, the public immediately fell in love with the bridge's unique appearance. The combination of its impressive engineering and its romantic, fairy tale architecture captured the imagination. The high-level walkways, enclosed in an ornate lattice of steel, connect the two towers, creating a dramatic silhouette against the sky. The color scheme of the bridge has also become iconic. Today it is painted blue, white and red, a color scheme chosen in 1977 to celebrate the Silver Jubilee of Queen Elizabeth II. Originally it was a less vibrant chocolate brown color, but the patriotic colors have become a much-loved feature. Over time, the bridge's unusual architectural style has become its greatest strength. It is instantly recognizable around the world. The blend of a functional industrial machine with the aesthetics of a Gothic castle is what makes it so memorable. It stands as a symbol of the Victorian era's confidence and its tendency to look both to the future with its groundbreaking engineering and to the past with its romantic architectural tastes. It is a bridge that is both a machine and a monument, a practical crossing and a work of art. This unique dual identity is why it continues to fascinate and delight millions of people every year. Over its long history, Tower Bridge has, been the setting for numerous remarkable events and has inspired a few entertaining legends. One of the most famous incidents occurred in 1952. A London double-decker bus, the number 78 driven by Albert Gunter, was crossing the bridge from the south bank. Unbeknownst to him, the warning signals had failed and the watchman on duty had not rung the warning bell. As the bus drove onto the southern bascule, it began to rise. Thinking quickly, Gunter made the heroic decision to accelerate, successfully jumping the bus across the widening gap to the northern bascule, which had not yet started to rise. He managed to land it safely and none of his 20 passengers were seriously injured. He was later awarded a day off and a £10 bonus for his bravery. Another fascinating, though less dramatic, legend concerns an American businessman. The story goes that in 1968, an entrepreneur named Robert P. McCulloch purchased the old London Bridge, which was being replaced. The legend claims that he mistakenly thought he was buying the far more impressive Tower Bridge. While this makes for a wonderful story, it is unfortunately not true. McCulloch was fully aware that he was buying the much plainer London Bridge, which he had successfully dismantled and rebuilt in Lake Havasu City, Arizona, where it remains a popular tourist attraction. The tale, however, persists, perhaps because it highlights just how iconic and desirable Tower Bridge truly is. The bridge has also played a role in aerial adventures. In 1912, a daredevil pilot named Frank McLean flew his biplane between the bascules and the high-level walkways, a daring feat that stunned onlookers below. This was not the only such stunt. In 1968, Royal Air Force pilot Alan Pollock, unhappy with the government's defence policies, flew a Hawker Hunter jet fighter through the gap in Tower Bridge as a form of protest. He flew under the walkways without any official permission, a reckless and unauthorised manoeuvre that led to his discharge from the RAF, but cemented his place in the bridge's folklore. These stories, both true and legendary, add to the rich tapestry of Tower Bridge's history. They transform it from a mere structure of stone and steel into a character in the story of London. The bridge has been a silent witness to moments of heroism, daring and eccentricity. It has become a stage for human drama, a backdrop for protests and the subject of amusing myths. These tales are passed down through generations, becoming part of the collective memory of the city and adding a layer of personality and charm to this already magnificent landmark, making it even more beloved by Londoners and visitors alike. Today, more than 130 years after it first opened, Tower Bridge remains a vital and bustling part of London's infrastructure. It is far from being just a historical relic. Every day, the bridge carries over 40,000 people, including motorists, cyclists and pedestrians across the River Thames. It continues to perform its original function with remarkable efficiency, connecting the communities of Tower Hamlets on the north bank with Southwark on the south. The bascules are still raised to allow tall vessels to pass, although this happens less frequently than in its industrial heyday. The bridge now opens around 800 times a year, a carefully scheduled event that still draws crowds of fascinated onlookers. The bridge has also become one of London's premier tourist attractions. Visitors from all over the world come not just to look at it, but to experience it. In 1982, the high-level walkways, which had been closed to the public since 1910 due to their reputation for attracting pickpockets and unsavoury characters, were reopened as part of the Tower Bridge exhibition. This exhibition allows people to explore the history of the bridge, see the magnificent Victorian engine rooms, and most spectacularly, walk across the high-level walkways. It offers a unique and breathtaking perspective of the river and the city. A particularly thrilling addition to the walkways is the glass floor installed in 2014. This feature allows visitors to look straight down, 42 meters below, to the road and the river. It provides a dizzying bird's-eye view of the iconic red London buses and boats passing underneath, and an incredible vantage point when the bascules are raised for a ship. This modern enhancement has made the experience of visiting the bridge even more memorable and has become a highlight for many tourists. The exhibition successfully combines history with modern visitor experience, bringing the story of the bridge to life for a new generation. Beyond its role in transport and tourism, Tower Bridge is a cultural icon. It features in countless films, television shows and postcards, instantly representing the City of London to a global audience. It is a centerpiece for national celebrations, such as the New Year's Eve fireworks and the Queen's Jubilees, where it is often spectacularly illuminated. For Londoners, it is a constant and reassuring presence on the skyline, a beautiful and familiar landmark that is woven into the fabric of their daily lives. Whether they are crossing it on their daily commute or simply admiring it from the riverbank, the bridge is a source of civic pride, a living, working monument that continues to serve and inspire the city it was built for. In conclusion, Tower Bridge is so much more than just a way to cross the River Thames. It stands as a powerful testament to the ingenuity and ambition of the Victorian era. It was born out of a very real and practical need to connect a growing city, but the solution that was created transcended mere functionality. The bridge's designers, Sir Horace Jones and John Wolfe Barry, created a structure that was both a brilliant piece of engineering and a stunning work of art. It solved a complex problem with a design that was innovative, robust, and visually spectacular, a perfect marriage of form and function that has stood the test of time. The history of the bridge is the story of London itself. It reflects the city's industrial might, its commercial power, and its unique character. The 8 years of construction represented a monumental effort, a demonstration of what could be achieved with steel, steam, and human determination. The ingenious hydraulic system that lifts the mighty bascules is a preserved marvel of 19th century technology, a window into a bygone age of invention. And its distinctive Gothic revival architecture, while once a point of debate, has become its most beloved and recognizable feature, a fairy tale castle guarding the gateway to the heart of the city. For the people of London, Tower Bridge is a constant and cherished part of their landscape. It is a landmark that is not frozen in time, but is a living, breathing part of the city's daily rhythm. It carries them to work, it provides a stunning backdrop for their celebrations, and it fills them with a sense of pride. It has witnessed over a century of change, standing firm through 2 world wars and the city's evolution into a modern global metropolis. Its ability to adapt with the modernization of its lifting mechanism and its development into a world-class tourist attraction ensures its relevance for generations to come. For visitors from across the globe, Tower Bridge is simply London. It is an unforgettable image, a symbol of history, pageantry, and endurance. To see its bascules rise against the skyline is to witness a piece of living history, a spectacle that connects the present day directly to the ambition and spirit of the past. It is a structure that captures the imagination, a bridge that not only connects 2 riverbanks but also connects people to the fascinating story of one of the world's greatest cities. For all these reasons, Tower Bridge is not just a landmark, it is the enduring and beloved heart of London.